Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and we have an exciting episode for you today. We're going to be actually talking about something a little different than we normally do. Instead of talking just about technologies, we're actually going to go a little bit wider spread and talk about marketing, branding, and product research, and why this is important for you, but also how does technology play a role, and where does it play a role, and also how can this help push your company forward, whether you're a global company or a local company. But we'll talk a little bit about why you should always be a global company here in just a moment, as we do introduce each and every one of our outstanding speakers who are joining us from all around the world today to share their thoughts and insights with you about today's topic. And I'll be chiming in as well with a little bit of experience myself in this category. But before we get started, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you're liking what you hear, make sure you click that subscribe button, give us a share, a thumbs up, and make sure to check out the archive as well to hear not just more from each of our speakers, but also on various topics around technologies, industries, and regions around the world, so you can stay up to date on the latest trends and innovations, knowing where to place your bets and where to start building as entrepreneurs. And if you'd like to be on a show like today, either to share your thoughts and on-the-ground perspective or pitch us your company, product, or service, do reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right spot for you. Speaking of team, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and jump in and introduce each of our guests today. Nicole, let's kick it off with you. Welcome back to the show. A little intro and a little background.
Thank you, Kyle. It's really nice to be here. Nice to be on VCTV and with the rest of the panelists today. I love this topic. I have had the fortune of having a very, very long career in marketing, branding, business development, and international expansion. So I'm excited to talk about those topics. I do wear many hats, literally and figuratively. So in addition to having a marketing, branding, and expansion consultancy, I also am a part of a fund called How Women Invest, and we're investing in female founders across the United States, and we'll have an exciting announcement about the fund and some portfolio investments in the next week. So over to the rest of the crew.
Wonderful. Can't wait to hear those announcements. And Nicole, it's a pleasure to have you here on today's show, as this is your specialty. And we have talked a lot online and offline about this as well. So excited to open up the conversation in just a moment. Jose, welcome back to the show as well. A little intro and a little background.
Thank you, Carl. Wonderful to be back on your show again. So my name is Jose Graza. Well, lately they're calling me the business inclusion man. Basically, I'm the chairman and CEO of the BizMoney Corporation. I'm also leading as a president the BizMoney Fund and CEO of the BizMoney TV, which is all related to the same. It's all about business inclusion. I've been around for quite a while. Started as a serial entrepreneur, moved on as a business angel, eventually became a VC and an advisor. But I like to be in this environment, and I really love this subject of business inclusion. And we are aiming to change lives of millions of people around the globe. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Jose, as well. And Adam, welcome to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hey, Kyle. Good to see you again. Got to meet everyone here in the green room before we hit record, so that was pretty cool. My name is Adam Carswell. I help people find their voice through digital content creation, and on a mission to produce 52 webinars this year. I also am very active in the commercial real estate investment space and have two, I guess you could say, bosses, or two companies that I work for, and that's ASIM Capital and Concordia Realty Corporation. So I'm excited to talk all things branding, marketing. If you guys want to go the commercial real estate direction, we can. But yeah, really, helping others find their voice, as I mentioned, through digital content creation. That's my purpose. So happy to be here. And actually, you know what? On top of that, I found us on Facebook, so I'm going to put the link for anyone watching on Facebook right now. Go ahead and check out my podcast, Dream Chasers. Boom, there it is.
I love how you just hit enter right there. So Adam, real quick follow-up: 52 webinars. Why the goal of 52? One a week, or what made you pick 52?
One per week. There's a theory that I adopted from, I'm sure you're familiar with an individual named Russell Brunson, who's also very big in marketing and branding. And in his theory, he's got a few of them. One of them is if you publish for 365 days in a row, by the end of that time frame, you will either have found your voice or be financially free. And one time he used a case study of this band that just like went down to the middle of this town every day for a year. And they started with, like 10 people watching. And by the end of the year, showing up at the same time, every day, rain or shine, they had like thousands showing up. So it's pretty cool to hear stories like that. 52 webinars. Again, there's no like, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen. But you learn so much over that time and you become better and better and better at it. So yeah, the theory is you'll be, financially free by the end of the year. So that's
wonderful. Thank you, Adam. Congratulations. I wish you luck on that. Excited to hear how that's developing. And Adrian, welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little background.
Thank you very much, Kyle, for having me here. Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here because I'm a marketing, sales, and business development guy. And actually, I have a lot of, especially American coaching clients, and I help them with their funnels and with marketing systems. And I think I have more than 10 years of doing marketing. If I do marketing for a product and if I don't get results, this is, I don't eat in, of course, quote unquote. So this is the type of marketing I'm doing for 7 figures, 8 figures companies. Besides my roles, and if you are following VCTV, I'm very happy to be a regular here. I'm involved with Virgin Startups, slogan Consortium, and Faster Capital, the incubator and accelerator for companies. Happy to be here and to contribute.
Wonderful. And again, happy to have all of you here. And we may have one more speaker that joins us here in just a moment as well, but excited to dive into today's topic. And I'll be sharing a little bit again on my experience and wearing many hats to Nicole and Jose's point. Also being a founder of TopioNetworks.com. So we do a lot around product and market research in those categories, which we'll get to in a minute. So I'm going to throw some questions out there, but I might have some feedback as well for us from my own learnings, having been a founder and an investor. So let's kick it off, Nicole, with you. I mean, building a brand, marketing and doing product research. I mean, this is so much of foundational work that goes into building and growing a company. What have you seen really change in those areas here over the last year? And we don't have to necessarily get into technologies, but just in general, what have you seen change so drastically on how people think or approach these 3 categories?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've been fortunate enough to help build the brands of the Fortune, 500 companies, HP, Accenture. I'm just doing massive branding, messaging projects for them, to hundreds of startups, because I love it so much. I love the quest of really building a brand or reimagining a brand. So in this last year, it has been all about reimagining your brand and redefining what you mean to your core audiences, markets. And there has been a need for companies of all sizes to retrench, think about, and go back to their core values to align what's happening internally with what's being communicated externally, because we have to be clear, we have to be authentic. And no one, even the big companies, the Fortune 500s, they don't want to spend a lot on their budget. They need their marketing strategies to be very targeted, just as every startup does. And so what comes with that is the need to do some market research, really tap into understanding your audiences, understanding. I'm a big fan now of really focusing on building community. And it's not just about target market, it's about target communities and operating within them. Because what has happened is we've lost our trust for government and or other organizations. In community, we feel more comfortable, we can believe in brands, they align with our value system. So I could go on, but I love it. I love the, I have processes and methodologies that I've employed over my 20 plus year career. And then, I like the creative aspect of it as well, because in the end, that also is critically important.
And we're definitely going to dive into communities. I want to hear your methodology, because I think the biggest common thing right now, to your point, is once you've created a company and you have a product and you've created a brand, the biggest thing people are working on right now is that community, because your users, your audience are your community. Your community are your lifeline, your lifeblood to your company as well. But I'll come back to that in just a minute, Nicole, because I really want to dive into that topic with all of us. But Jose, same to you. I mean, when it comes to biz money and also just some of your efforts around business inclusion, you look at marketing and branding as a very big piece of that. Similar to Nicole, I mean, how have you seen things transform or focus transform over the last year for companies?
So let me put it like this. Every business basically is on top of an X amount of pillars, depending on the business model that you're going to develop, right? Branding, marketing, sales is one pillar. It's a very important one. Then the other one is today, it's definitely technology, whatever company it is. And then you have finance. You cannot overcome without finance. In some cases, if you are a production company, definitely it's production. And eventually you come up to management, and those are the main pillars, whatever you do, right? Now, what I can tell you is like this. I've been building brands now for 40 years. I built my first brand 40 years ago. And in the entertainment industry, I was issuing, at that time you call it cassette, right? Today you would call it DVD, or today you don't have DVDs anymore. You will call it an MP3 file, okay? So I was building, the top hits every month, right? And we were selling that as youngsters of 16 years of age. And we built a brand around it, right? We call it tropical music, and the whole, and we sold quite a lot of that stuff. So what I learned along these years, and I've been, in aviation, chemicals, brick and mortar, shoe brand, clothing brand, bicycle brand, technology. I built like 3 technology brands. Right? So what I learned during all these years, and I think I've built like 30 brands all my life, not only for myself, also for third party, is that it's a combination of an X amount of things. It's the name, it's the colors, and it's how people look at it, and what aura can you build around that brand, and what target do you want to achieve with that brand. Okay. But a very small, tiny change, right, can make a huge difference. I can tell you that several times in my life, and it's really true, I doubled sales just by changing such a minuscule thing that people even would say, wow, how can such a change so small make such an impact? And it has all to do with the brain set of every human being. We all have a brain set, and we all have tendencies. So you as a brand builder, marketing or sales guy, you need to be very proficient to understand not what you want to sell, but to understand what they want to buy from you. So if you are able to deliver what they want to buy, you have an optimal.
It's a very good point, Jose. Thank you. And Adam, anything to add to Nicole or Jose's point, but in general, I mean, you work in many different industries. You're focused on content, which we're going to get to as well. But what have you seen changed maybe with your own business or businesses that you work with around marketing and branding over the last year?
Over the last year, and actually, and it's funny Jose mentioned that because I was just talking to someone about that last week, is to make the major changes, oftentimes it just comes down to the little tweaks. You don't have to go back and, like, if, say, for example, if you're having issues with sales or marketing or whatever, if you're not getting the results you want, I'd say more times than often, you don't have to go back and change everything. If you go back and just tweak that one little part of the script or whatever, it can completely change the entire outcome. So I just thought that was cool. I was just talking about that. As far as over the past year, how have things changed? It's made the playing field what's the word? I don't want to use competitive, but there's just a lot of stuff out there now. For example, us doing this now, and I'm sure VCTV, this was all pre-COVID, this all taking place. But I mean, how many other platforms like this have now risen, and how many other voices and talking heads are there? The toughest thing for people to do right now is to just pick their like 3 or 4 people that they want to get all of their information from, because right now I think that's the biggest challenge that we're seeing, and the biggest change is everyone has a platform. So how do you figure out who has the one that you want to learn from or stay plugged into? I wish there was an easy answer to that, but I just have to say, I think that has definitely been my biggest takeaway is like, you know, everyone's got a voice now, and it comes down to figuring out the little tweaks to make your voice stand out. And then also if you're on the side of like trying to figure out who to follow, I guess defining in your mind, you know, who you are and what you stand for, and then, you know, kind of hanging on to those people.
Well, and also platforms play a role into it as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that here when it comes to Clubhouse, which just saw a huge investment from Andreessen Horowitz and others, and also is creating a new program to give more voices to those individuals that work within the platform as moderators. We're seeing more people start to use Clubhouse as a platform. We, of course, shamelessly plugging VCTV here, have VCTV as a platform, TikTok as a platform, webinars. There's so many different platforms. That also plays a role in this, is kind of picking or playing the spread and doing them all. But you definitely are right. You have to kind of pick your lanes of where you want your voice to amplify. But before we get to that, Adrian, anything else to add onto what you've seen kind of change and develop over the last year?
Everything starts with defining for your project or for your audience the ideal buyer persona. And I want to give everybody, it's at least a $5,000 gift. Search online Startup Grind Adrian Niculescu Ideal Buyer Persona. You will find an article I wrote 3 years ago, which is a process of 24 or 28 questions to define your ideal buyer persona. Why this became more important during the pandemic? If you define correctly the ideal buyer persona, these are people who will buy from you no matter what. Will not delete purchasing from you, no matter if there will be a pandemic or not. And we as marketers, we have it's a gift and a curse at the same time, because once we know very well our ideal clients, we can go into their heads and we know their desires, their frustrations, the things keeping them up at night, what movies are seeing on Netflix, what music are listening. And when we design a marketing concept, and I will quote Adam, because he's also learning from Russell Brunson, and this is one of the people I'm learning from. And when we know very well our target market, we can create hooks, messages relating to them, so to get their attention. After that, we can create stories in the messages, and after that, offers. So from scrolling everywhere, we are able to pull them and to ignite some triggers and to transform them into leads and in customers. And this is a science and an art in the same time. And it became more important during this period when so many people went back to the basics and deleted a lot of purchases. And also to add one idea about the community, because so many people were stranded at home, the communities became more important than ever. And this is one single thing Clubhouse did amazingly well, which helped it to come in front of social media. Everybody's looking for a Clubhouse invite these days, which is huge.
Yeah, and great point, Adrian. And Gary, I want to come to you on that same. Anything else to add? But then also, what have you seen change from marketing and branding of companies, you know, a year ago to where we are today?
I mean, the situation is, so there's a company that's one of the companies that in our GSD labs, it's quite interesting. It's a Singapore-based company that uses their artificial intelligence generator, social media influencer, Maya. And she's a composite of millions of faces using generative adversarial networks, using artificial intelligence to be able to create a composite of what people like by going through all the social media, a lot of the social media, to come up with that composite. In fact, one of the things that was said is that she looks too real. So we had to tweak it a little bit so she didn't look as real. But having that kind of influence, it really plays to your audience, and using artificial intelligence. And one of the things Adrian said that's right on target is we need to be able to, again, it's all about the data, right? It's all about hyper-personalization, how we can enhance that experience because it knows what you want. And the more we get down through, I know it just happened to me. I went and looked at a new Corvette, and just for the heck of it, I am getting inundated. And I'm actually thinking about it. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't thinking about it as much, but I started thinking about it. And so as we're marketing, as we're branding, and we bring that experience closer to the consumer, because we really understand the wants and needs, and we can use that AI to be able to forecast it. What am I going to need in a month from now? It's one thing if Amazon knows that I buy something every 6 weeks. And another thing is when it's completely unrelated and it forecasts what kind of things I'm going to want to buy because I purchased other things or some of my behavior. That's where it becomes very, very interesting for us. Mm-hmm. So from a marketing standpoint, this hyper-personalization, the other thing is one of the companies that we dealt with actually places the products inside of an existing video. So imagine having a YouTube video and putting the product inside of that video. So it just happens to come up for product placement. That's really, so you don't know what's fake or real anymore. It's like, it's out there. Like Bernie Sanders.
He's for the audience. He's referencing the meme. I got you, Gary. He's referencing the meme that has been posted all around the internet. Some have done a very good job. Others have continued to use it and maybe abused it in some way. And we've seen too much of it. But it's a meme that has been circling the interwebs out there as well. And just to kind of come full circle, and even my perspective as well, I've seen companies more focus around community, content, and data. And when it comes to data, looking at how to leverage data for that research purpose. And again, a little shameless promotion because this is what we work on at Topio Networks, but I have seen the difference between not using data and then leveraging data and artificial intelligence for doing market research as well. So a lot more market research being done, a lot more content being created, or content strategy being tested. To Adam's point, would love to hear more about that. And then community. Community is the lifeblood of your brand, of your company. And I've seen more focus around communities and community development than almost anything else around user bases. So Nicole, coming back full circle, community, tell us a little bit about what that means and why that's now more important than ever, and maybe even where you're seeing people focus their community efforts.
Yeah, sure. It comes down to creating an entire brand ecosystem around your community, around, your customers, your community, your culture, and in your category. And you really need to define and understand all of those aspects before you develop the foundation of messaging, before you develop that go-to-market strategy, so that those are conversations that are successful, that are driving people to desired action. And, shameless plug for Outfront Solutions, but what we've done over the years is, and again, this has been for, companies, Apple to, the startup down the road here in the Valley, is to really dive into that secondary market research. It's available. We can learn so much about people, communities, and our customer personas that we're creating so easily. And then, actually, I've found that primary research is quite easy to do online. We were pushed to have to do Zoom focus groups this year. And you know, it was wildly successful. We got amazing and great insights. So, you know, really understanding those different aspects and creating the brand ecosystem is of critical importance in creating that foundation. And then messaging in community, those are trusted environments. Those are places where you have shared, you know, you care about, you know, similar things, value systems. You are, you know, likely in the same category. You know, you're looking at industry similarities, and these are places to have customer conversations. And then we can talk about content and digital stuff later, because I know you want to do that. But just we're helping businesses find their communities every day, and those are the people that come back and support and are your repeat customers, your advocates, your influencers, etc.
Yeah, and communities, another thing I'll add on that is also communities, they have a voice, right? In the past, it's been very focused around users and just user feedback. Now it's communities. Communities are constantly in the conversation, right? Community
Yes.
managers is one of the most sought after position right now.
And it's conversation, right? It is a conversation. It's a two-way street. And I don't even use the term users anymore, because it's like that's a term you use for drug addicts. So I love communities and audiences, and yeah.
Right. It's incredible. And Jose, I want to come to you around this as well. I mean, anything further to talk about communities and what you've built at BizMoney?
Definitely, what I have heard here on this show really makes me happy, because Adrian touched the point of the persona, but it's not only the persona, it's a very, very important point. What I think, or not what I think, but it's a fact that BizMoney solves is it has turned it around. So let me put it like this. Until today, everybody is doing the work to find the ideal client, right? We at BizMoney, we have inverted. The ideal client finds you. Now, why is this so important? Because as I started saying in the show today, it doesn't matter, you know, what you want to sell. It matters what the client wants to have. So in essence, it's like if you invert this, right, and the client, because the client already knows what he wants, right, and he comes to you, then you have your life very easy done, because obviously that all that work from the persona, you know, and then what type of colors you're going to use and all these things, right? And look at it like this. My focus is on the very smallest companies in the world, like one-man show, micro companies, right? They need to compete with all this needed marketing issues and tools. But in essence, they don't have the time and they don't have the budgets. That's what it is. So we bring to them a solution that they don't need to have the budgets, right? And they also need to spend the time. And they can build on that. Now, if they're on the road, if they become bigger companies, right, then obviously they can spend their time and money on this. But the AI that we have built behind this, what it does very well, it puts people into a persona style for a huge amount of things based on your performance and what you want, what you like, where you stop, with whom you talk, etc., etc. And based on this, you know, you get into what we call a certain lifestyle. And that lifestyle comes with an X amount of things, right? So what we do is we match you with those companies that basically you don't know where they are. Maybe you even not heard any of these companies. But what we do is we offer you things from those companies that we know that's in your lifestyle, that's what you want to have, okay? Because you gave us that data. Now, the businesses, on the other hand, they don't know that we are putting them together, right? But here comes the community. This is the funny part at the end. Once they buy something from each other, okay, or somebody sells to each other, and suddenly they are constructing a community, a business community. But this community around you, right, is your business community. right? And that's so important for them because that's their, let me put it like this, their survival for the free cash flows. Because selling once, is not so interesting as selling lifetime, right? What you need is to accumulate clients constantly, and that your previous clients don't go away. So what this money does for these small companies definitely is that they get a full running, very fast system, which they don't need to know all that stuff, right? The system is there. The system will do it for you, right? Focus on being a good and friendly, let's say, company that treats your clients well, and let the system work for you. Otherwise, you will need to engage with maybe 50 or 100 people, and you don't have the cash for that.
And thank you, Jose. And Adam, I want to come to you around content. I mean, you've talked to us a little bit about your challenge that you've put together, but why is content now more important than ever for a company and their brand as they're building that up? Whether they're a one-person shop or a huge, 10,000 person team, why does content play such a big role in the strategy of a company's marketing plan?
I think it comes down to one word, and that word is trust. Content creation, especially consistent content creation, shows that you're showing up and you're not afraid to show who you really are. I mean, I guess in a way you could kind of, we all kind of have like two versions of ourselves, right? We have the core and the shell. And I'm probably not even giving you guys my entire core right now because like it's my second time here. I haven't met everyone yet, but I'm doing my best to show you that core. And that ties into the content. And I just had to say too, talking about community, I mean, to identify our community, it all comes down to identifying who you've been called to serve. And I know for me, that's like when things definitely changed. I'm going to do it again. I've got it pulled up on Facebook, but my mastermind, the Next Level Mastermind, came to fruition last March, and it was all kind of through this virus era that we're living in. And that helped me realize this is who I've been called to serve, is these 18 individuals that are in my group. And so with content creation, that's really who I'm catering my messages towards. I know if I can focus and deliver consistent content that I know at least these 17 people will watch, hopefully more, but if I can deliver to them and add value to their lives, then it's just begins this ripple effect. And I say this as if I've been to the top of the mountain and back. Like, honestly, I'm kind of just getting started with this whole, the webinar journey and whatnot. But I think that's what it comes down to is consistent content creation is very important, and it's key because that's really how you build trust. You can go make sure you can watch Kyle every day and check and see how he's doing. He's going to be there. He's going to be showing up. You can trust that he's going to be reliable. So that's just like an example. So that's what I would say is trust. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And it's a great point too. It doesn't matter how big your community is, to add on to that, whether it's 1, whether it's 17, whether it's 10,000 or 10 million. The community is the community that you serve, right? One person or 100 people, doesn't matter. I know there's a great article that Andreessen put out there recently, Andreessen Horowitz, about 100 fans versus 1,000 fans. And at the end of the day, it's really just about your community and what fits for you and your brand, whether you're an individual or a full-fledged company. So a great point, Adam. I see Nicole shaking her head, and she's the expert in this whole space. So if she's agreeing with us, Adam, you're doing something right. So keep it going. Adrian, Adrian, I mean, you work with a number of companies. What are some of the advice that you would put out there to those companies that are looking to get started at building their brand, maybe first time in this digital era that we're starting to live?
First, if you master this science of creating, it's a science and an art of creating funnels, marketing systems, and to know how to write or how to create video scripts, which will ignite reactions. Basically, you can put a marketing system there before you invest resources in creating a product. And if it works, okay. If it doesn't work, you can go to the next thing. It's very easy today to test and very cheap, I would say, if you want to do it smart. I want to add regarding content creation. Besides the trust, content creation is fantastic for search engine optimization, for organic presence in web, and it's a strategy called dominating your niche. once you define some keywords which are relevant to your brand, and people are searching for those keywords, by creating content in a certain way, of course, valuable content, you need to add value to the audience, you slowly over time, you dominate that niche. When people are searching, they will find you here, will find you there. And there are two major differences between selling and delivering. Selling is when there is the exchange of money, and this is crucial and very important. Delivering is you deliver based on the promise made by the product of the service. And if you have a fantastic product or solution, people need, when you create the sales materials, they need to address what people want, not what people need. You know, people are buying what they want, and in the delivery process, you are able to deliver what they need. If you put what they need in the sales materials, it will not work. It took me a few years to figure out, and a lot of a lot of probably money and opportunities lost. And as said, it's easier than ever to test before investing huge resources in something which will not work. It's very easy, and people are even happy to buy something up front and to deliver in, I don't know, 1 month, 1 week, or something like that. And know how to market, I believe, is one of the most important skills for any entrepreneur. And also knowing how to, I'm calling copywriting, how to write words that sell. It's unbelievable. You have a list of people and you send an email and you get purchases from there. And just to close with one idea about that, it doesn't matter the size of the community or until a certain point. What matters is the engagement of the people. If you have 100 people of your loyal freaking fans who are buying like crazy from you, it's more valuable than have 10,000 people. I'm part of this group for this company, but maybe I will buy from them.
That's a great point. And Gary, I want to come to you for last thoughts around data and AI and how that's going to empower some young companies to really take it to the next level, focusing on everyone else's points, but also you work with a number of companies at Gstv, and we just spoke a little bit about this and on the early stage side. So any thoughts at how people can be using AI around research or around marketing and branding?
Yeah, I want to say one thing, and
Please.
Adrian's right on point. I mean, the situation which we're in today, this online world we're in today, so branding across all spheres is critically important, and developing that influencer status, getting the visibility. In fact, there was somebody on your show, and I've been in marketing a long time, but there was somebody on your show who was a PR person from Europe, from Germany. And he said the same thing. It's consistency. So you got to really find out where your market is, who is interested in what topics, and then you got to develop it and be passionate about developing that. So whether you're a brand or it's individual or it's your company, whatever. And that has how the thing starts to really grow organically. Well, you've seen it with VCTV. And from the time you get started with one show a week, I think it was, right? 1 or 2 shows a week, to here you are, how many shows? 4 a day or plus. So, I mean, that's part of it. But you also need to give people what they want, right? As Adrian said, what they want, not what they need. And you're right. You know, the thing, as you give them what they want, they'll start to want things, and the needs will come out too, because they don't think about them as much. But they do, it's just like ordering from Amazon, right? You get what you want, and then the things you need, it's like, okay, I just need it. That's why they have subscribe. So anyhow, it's an art. It's a real art. And then, using the pen, using your computer, being able to write the articles, write the information, whatever, brochures, articles, and do the videos. It's an art. There's art and a science around it. And again, the whole idea is you got to make sure that that's what the customer is wanting and needs. So it's exciting times.
And it's an art that anyone can master. And that's the thing, is you just have to start. I mean, Nicole is the grand master by all means in this world, but it is something that everyone can start and learn and adjust as well. And Gary, where can everyone find you and Gstv online to continue the conversation if they're early stage startup or even a late stage that want to start working with you?
Yeah. So you can catch me on LinkedIn. You can catch me on Twitter. My shows, I have 2 shows this week, 2 shows this week, and I always have interesting folks like Guy Kawasaki. So you can get me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler, Twitter, Gary Fowler. Love to hear from you. You know, stay positive, stay focused, and get stuff done, because that's what it's all about. And don't give up.
Thank you very much, Gary. Adrian, to you, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
The best communication hub is LinkedIn until something better will be invented. And I always respond to messages, even if not immediately. And happy to help in any way I can, and happy to be part of this family and to come back to your shows and hopefully to be able to deliver value, because it's an outstanding education project for entrepreneurs, investors, and who wants to learn. Basically, this is for them. It's a huge resource.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Adrian. Adam, where can everyone find you to continue the conversation along with this awesome 52-week webinar series challenge that you've got going on?
Yeah, thanks. So best way, I would say, actually send an email to nextlevel@carswell.io. Next Level at Car. We'll get you on the mailing list, so that way you won't miss any of the updates for the upcoming webinars. You know, it's funny, I should know which one is next off the top of my head, but I really don't. But we got one coming out every week pretty much. So send an email to nextlevel@carswell.io and we'll get you plugged in.
Thank you very much, Adam. Jose, where can everyone find you to continue the conversation?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Jose Graca with a C or BizMoney, and you will find me always available to start any type of conversation. So go ahead.
Wonderful. Thank you. Nicole, close us out with one piece of advice to those companies looking to get started in their first ever big effort or transforming effort around marketing, branding, and then where can everyone find you to continue the conversation?
The piece of advice is to echo what also has been said across the panel. You are an expert. You're a content expert in a topic. So get rolling. Just start communicating and write something daily, post something daily, just get out there, keep finding your community. And people can find me at my firm, outfront.solutions. There are a gazillion calls to action on my website, as you can imagine, but I do offer a 45-minute free session to talk with people. What are you facing? What are your growth goals? Do you need to increase valuation in some way? You know, let's talk about it. So I truly mean it. Let's talk. So connect with me at outfront.solutions or on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and on Clubhouse. I'm Techie Cat, and I love connecting with people there because I like the marriage of technology and marketing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And to the audience, definitely check out Nicole and take up that opportunity of the free 45 minutes. It's a great opportunity for you. As everyone's said today, and I'll echo again what Nicole just mentioned, just get started. That's all it takes. With that, Nicole, Jose, Adam, Adrian, Gary, thank you all very much for sharing your thoughts and insights today on today's topic. Audience, make sure you check out each and every one of them along with their companies and their webinars and their shows and their newsletters and their Clubhouse sessions as well. There's so much more we're going to continue to talk about here on VCTV with each and every one of them, and so many more around this topic, because 2021 is a big foundational year for so many businesses. Take advantage of it. Just like you did in 2020, take even more advantage, because now it's the time to rise. And if you're a young early stage company to a very well-established company, there's opportunities left and right. Just get started. And with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, share, thumbs up, and make sure you check out the archive. Thank you, Gary, to hear from all of our speakers today, and not just on today's topic, but a number of topics and other different technologies, industries, and regions around the world as we bring together the best and the brightest, as we have today, to share their thoughts and insights and on-the-ground perspective of what's happening in these areas to make sure you know the latest and greatest to make the right decisions as an investor or where to start building as an entrepreneur. With that, a big, huge thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Maria for making VCTV possible every single day, to Gary's point, multiple times a day now, all around the world, as again, we bring the best and the brightest together. So big shout out to the team. And last but not least, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can check me out everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott and topionetworks.com, as I mentioned earlier, along with all of our speakers and their respected shows, platforms, websites, companies, Clubhouse, TikToks, you name it, they're out there. Make sure you reach out to everybody, add context when you do so we can continue the conversation. We'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.